So it's really ironic. We were leaving the room to go smoke weed, and I don't carry any weed when I travel besides a vaporizer. Megan, I don't know how she is now, but she's also, if you leave LA with weed, it doesn't matter. She doesn't give a fuck. She was a heavy smoker at the time. So she's got all this weed with her, and we're like, okay, well, we'll go outside. We'll go outside, and we'll walk away from the property to smoke the weed. So we go outside, we get off property, and we're smoking blunts. And then we go back into our room, and the lady comes, the manager comes knocking on the door, and she's like, you ladies are smoking weed in there, blah, blah, blah. Let me in. And we're like, we're not smoking weed. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we are not smoking any weed. We've gone off property to smoke, but it's not weed, right? We didn't want to be open about it. So when we opened up the door, she saw a tripod. And I don't know if you guys know anything about Wisconsin, but Wisconsin is a heavily trafficked state. A lot of girls go in there being trafficked. So within about 20 minutes, she wanted to kick us out. And we were trying to tell her, like, no, we're not gonna, you can't kick us out for doing nothing wrong because we're off your property. You can't even like come in our room to check stuff like that, right? So 20 minutes later, the cops show up, and the cops come into the room, and they're like, why is there a tripod set up in your room? What's going on here? Like, are you girls in danger? They wanted to search through all our shit. Obviously, Megan has a lot of weed. So they did search through our shit. They didn't say anything about the weed, but they were like, we just want to make sure you're not in danger. And unfortunately, this hotel won't allow you to stay here. But we can, you know, after going through thorough questioning and telling them the real reason why we were here and that we weren't being trafficked and that we had a ring light set up because we're content creators and we were creating content ourselves in the hotel room. They end up being like, okay, well, we'll help you get to another hotel. And they're like, we should arrest you for having all this weed on you. And Megan's like, but we're from California. It's legal there. And he's like, no, it's not legal here. And she was like, no, I really didn't know. Like, yeah, she was like, I didn't know. And I was like, me neither. You know, I know because I'm from Philly. But, yeah, so anyway, they were really cool about it. The guy looks over at us and he goes, I have daughters about your guys' age. You know, if you're in porn and you're coming here to do that, more power to you. I would recommend something different because I have daughters. But what we can do is we can take you in the police car to a different hotel. And we thought that they were going to get us in the police car and then take us to actually arrest us. So it took them about 10 minutes of like convincing us to get into the car. So once we did, we're in the car and Megan starts talking about something. And we're talking about weed. And he's like, ladies, you're in a police car. Like, anything you say in here, I can and will have to use against you. So please, like, stop talking, right? Which was really funny. So we were kind of just like hanging out with the cops. They took us to get us some food, helped us get a new hotel. And then we got a new hotel. But yeah, it was super chill of them. They were really nice. And yeah, it was nice. It's awesome that they were cool about the whole thing. Yeah, because the two guys that came, like the hotel manager was just yelling and being super fucking rude because they had put porn girls in that hotel before. So I think the woman was like, not to say in a negative way to anybody else that's heavy set, but I think she was the type of heavy set person that hated herself and hated her life. So having these young models coming in out of the motel that she was running, I think pissed her off. So we were kind of just like the final straw because I guess other girls had issues with her. So yeah, it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. Wisconsin is super religious as well. Yeah, totally. But they weren't pervs. The cops were really nice. And it was nice that they took us to get food. They paid for it. And then they just made sure we got to a different motel. And then they also called the production company we were working for and were like, we just want to make sure like you're an actual production company over the phone and confirmed it. And it was good. Yeah, they were like, we don't care about anything you're doing. We don't care about the weed. Like all we care about, because this happens so much here, is trafficking. We just want to make sure you're safe. So I guess trafficking and like heavy drugs is really bad there. So they treated us very coolly. They wanted their knob sucks. No cops do anything. No, I think that's very, I think that's kind of rude of you to say.
Make it rain!
I understand. Hey, girl. Hey. Only you would have a crazy story like that. I feel like my life is so boring compared to yours. Because I'm always with crazy girls as well. Yeah, like some cops are good cops. There are really good cops. There is a lot of bad type of cops, and I think there are more negative cops, and more like cops that have gang mentality than good cops. But there are good cops out there, and I think in a situation where I'm saying they're like, hey, here's a positive situation about it, here's a positive experience, you shouldn't just be like, no, fuck them, or say something rude. It's not rude, it's just your POV. Yeah, but I didn't need your POV in the midst of trying to like just bring positivity to it, you know? Like sometimes you don't have to put your POV in here. Sometimes you don't have to fight and like put your points into things, you know? It is cool that you were nice to us. It was super nice. Thank you, Tommy Savage, for the 100 biddies. LDB Fest was wild. Did you get any bruises or anything? Hey, Meg, how are you, girl? Are you drunk? Also, Dookie Meat Stuffer, thank you for the sub. Super Aliens, thank you for the raid. Thank you for the views. I appreciate that. So many people just gotta be so negative. I know. You're not offending me, Dan BS. I'm just saying, like, sometimes when you tell stories, there's this like tendency to like, whenever you're telling any story that's a positive story, there's a tendency for people to interject their opinions. When you're storytelling, you're just supposed to be listeners, right? There's a time to interject your opinions when we're having a question, but other times there's no reason to bring down my story or the experience by putting in your view that's most likely negative. And I think that goes for a whole group of people.
Make it rain!
In college back in the early 2000s, a cop showed up once and on a noise complaint, and the first words out of his mouth was, "How much weed have we been smoking tonight?" They laughed and told us to keep the noise down and don't drive anywhere, and then they left. Yeah. Like, not all cops are bad. Effing cereal, thank you for the 100 biddies. I also have never experienced cops from being a person of color as well. So I don't know. I think if you're somebody that you're a person of color, it'd be really cool to hear some positive cop stories. But I do understand how it's a lot harder for people